Okay, I'm so happy to have you here. You're my first podcast guest, and I mean, who better than you? Because I feel like we get each other. And if I'm gonna have an episode about friendship, I feel like this would be the one friendship. So I'm so happy to have you here. You can tell your name if you want.
Hey guys, I go by Paper. I'm very happy to be here as well. I feel like me and Guye always have conversations off the record and they're amazing. So what better way to introduce ourselves in this way?
Exactly. And for you guys listening, you'll get a glimpse into my friendships. I definitely take my friendships serious. I don't have many friends for that reason, but the ones that I do have are more than amazing. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about our friendship. It sounds so formal right now, but we'll get into it. Like how we met and how we've literally kept this friendship going on for years and years now without any craziness. I think that's really rare.
No, it is. It really is. Well, going way, way, way back to where it started, and I'll never forget the year. It was 2016.
Yes.
2016 was when you and I's friendship started, and I will never forget it because it just simply was like a phone call. Like, we have a mutual friend from the past and stuff like that who knew you, and I was just like, oh, this girl, like, she's so amazing. Like, I love the things that she shares, and I think one of the biggest things is vulnerability. Like, you are just such a vulnerable person in the things that you share, and it was raw and it was real, and I was like, and she's also South Sudanese, like,
Yeah.
what?
Right.
I have to literally get to know her, even if we're not friends. Like, I just wanted to know more of your life and all that stuff. And then I think I reached out to you, or did you reach out to me?
I think we started tweeting each other. So
and
like
then we planned a phone date.
Yeah. So the mutual friend also was like, I feel like you guys would get along really well and you guys would vibe. And then we would tweet each other. So, like, they told both of us, like,
Right.
So then we started tweeting, and then we did have a phone date. And then it went from there. Like, we talked on the phone for, like, hours. And I feel like
I remember it. Like, literally, we talked on the phone, and I did not want to get off the phone. And it was, like, such a very, like, hard time in my life because it was the year that I had gotten into my car accident, and also the year that my dad was getting remarried. Like, the car accident literally happened that day. And I had found out about the marriage or the wedding or whatever through, like, one of my cousins on my dad's side.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, are you coming to Minnesota for your dad's, like, wedding? And like, my heart was like, what? Like, what is going on? And I was like, no, actually, I'm not. And they're like, oh, why? Like, they were so offensive about it. And I was like, because we don't really speak, so it's kind of awkward. And I actually didn't know. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then literally that morning, because I had went to celebrate a birthday for a friend, and that morning I was dropping off, like, one of the friends that came and celebrated with us, and it was, like, black ice. So my car, like,
I remember
slid.
that.
It was like an 8-car pile up, and I was terrified. Like, thank God for my mom. Like, she kept me so calm, and I was just like, Mom, like, I didn't even want to tell her because, like, it was a lot. And, like, mothers, they're worry warts and stuff like that, especially mine. And so, yeah, I remember we talked about that, and, like, we just talked for hours. I was like, I don't know what it is, but, like, I feel like this person's going to be in my life for a long time. Like, she understands me, but, like, you just have such a calm, like, spirit, and, like, you're calming. Like, you really are. Like, anytime that I'm around you, I always feel very safe. Like, like, you respect boundaries, but also, like, you're very aware of just, like, the people that are around you and making sure they're good. Like, you always make sure I'm good. And one thing that we have, too, is, like, when I'm, like, starting to, like, feel anxious and stuff like that, you always grab my hand, and I'm very particular about hand holding.
I know, but I can
like,
sense
we'll just
it.
literally just hold hands, and, like, it feels like everything is okay.
I know, even when the world is burning around us, it's like, we're okay.
Right.
We're here.
So when I describe you to, like, other people and stuff like that, like, just how special you are, is I always just say, Guye feels like home.
Yeah, same. No, don't say that. Oh,
you
no.
do. You feel like home.
And it's rare because I don't show home to everyone because people take advantage of that.
They do.
But I agree, same. The day that we talked on the phone, it really felt genuine. And I have had, sometimes like when people shoot their like friendship shot, and it's like it'll be cool for like a few months and then you just kind of like fizzle out and then the friendship doesn't go anywhere. But at least you got to connect with the person.
Exactly.
And we just never stopped. Like, even though there'd be months we'd go without talking, but the moment I reach out to you or you reach out to me, it's like, how's it going? It's never like, you never checked on me, but like our friendship has always been like that, where it's like, no matter where you're at in the world, you can call me, I can call you and not have to feel like I have to explain to you why maybe I wasn't present or I wasn't like your everyday friend. Yeah. But yeah, I think
and just like honesty too, because like there are just very uncomfortable things sometimes that like, you can't control, and like just how honest you are with me about things we've spoke about in the past and stuff just really shows like, damn, you really care about me, and I respect you so much for even saying whatever it is that you said to me, because like that's not easy.
You don't get that from everyone. No, I agree.
Right.
I think like,
and I learned that too. I really honestly felt like I learned that trait from you too, is just like, it's important to be honest, to speak up and stuff like that, but you make it easy, because you're understanding and you also listen, it's not like you're listening to just instantly respond. Like, it's just like, I hear you. Like, I'm here. I see you. You see me.
Right. And even if like things are awkward, like the worst thing that could happen is somebody genuinely say like, you're my friend, I really care about you, and the whole time they're not being very honest. And to me, no matter how awkward or how weird or how you may take it, I still have to tell you, because I never want you to get blindsided. And that's one thing that can absolutely ruin a friendship, like in 2 seconds.
And you just learn that through experience, because like there are definitely a lot of times where I have not spoken up for myself, or like where I have been in the wrong and stuff, and then you think about it later on, and it's just like, well, it's too late, if it spiraled out of control and like you and that person are no longer friends. But it's really important to like have that person who instills that in you. And I feel like you teach me a lot about friendships and actually wanting to be a better friend, because you want to keep a friend. That's so important. Like, to be a friend, to want to have a friend, you have to be a friend.
Yeah, and I always agreed. I always want to be the friend that I would want others to be to me as well. Like, I'm going to be honest with you because I would want my friends to be honest with me, and vice versa. And so it's very important for me to do that. But on the flip side, since we have an amazing friendship, I'm so thankful for that. I feel like I never ever have to explain to you anything. God is good. Right. We just get it. It's like, you know what? That's fine. And we respect that. But on the flip side, when thinking about friendships, especially in this time, we are going into our 30s are coming. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, we are. And this is our last year in our 20s.
Yeah. And so with that coming, and going through all these different friendships that we've had, that some lasted, some haven't, what do you look back and think about, like, as far as how would I say it? Like, when you look back at friendships that maybe did not last or just kind of fizzled out, what kind of things did you learn from those friendships? And as you're moving into your 30s, how are you going to go about creating new friendships? Because it is harder now that we're getting older. You don't, like, to find friends is even hard, because you're kind of, depending on where you live, you may not have the community or those friendships. What do you look for as far as like friendships in the future, and what do those things entail?
I feel like one thing that I definitely have learned, and obviously it's just like something that I have addressed with myself that I struggle with like in the past, and like it could be trauma and all that stuff, but as you get older, like you have to learn how to address that trauma and work through the things that you need to, otherwise they will carry into like the next phases of your life, relationships, all that stuff. I think speaking up for yourself is very important, just because what you have to say matters, and also like you have an opinion, and I think that sometimes when you don't speak up and stuff like that, people can take advantage of that, you know, like you don't stand up for yourself, you know, you don't really know what your value is and all that, and people can undermine you in a sense. And so speaking up is a big thing. And also, like, when I look into future friendships and stuff, I want people who at least reflect a lot of me, who I am, and share similar values and stuff, but also people that can help me grow as a person and not be afraid to, you know, express those things, you know, if I'm lacking in certain areas and stuff, because I'm not perfect, and a friendship is a relationship, so like if they're lacking too, and I haven't always been the best at that too, because it's like that fear of like what's gonna happen if like I say this and all that stuff. But then I've learned from just example of like, you didn't say what you needed to say at the time, you let things kind of spiral out of control, and then boom, like you had your chance and you didn't take it. And so I would definitely say, like, say what it is that needs to be said in that moment, address those things, but come from like a loving place, you know, because when you let a lot of time pass, a lot of resentment can harbor.
Yeah. Yes.
And then like also just it causes more issues in the long run, and it makes it a lot harder to address the issues that are happening, and it could create problems that really didn't exist before. It's just you let way too much time pass. So just being better at communicating if there is an issue, because relationships are not perfect, and so you and your friend may be at odds about something, or maybe they're doing something that they're not aware of.
Right.
Maybe I'm doing something I'm not aware of and stuff. So it's just like having that courage to be like, hey, you know.
So basically calling your friends out on their bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Basically, like.
Yeah, and call me out. Like, don't let it get to a point where we're like really mad at each other, to the point where we almost like hate each other, you know, because you're keeping tabs on a lot of things. Like, it's not healthy, it's not okay. And I feel like a lot of that definitely, it makes sense like when you're younger and stuff like that, but excuse me, now that we're like grown women, those things matter.
Yeah.
Like, address those things, and just to really help the friendship if you want it to last, you know, and if you want to build strong relationships and stuff like that, like that community really matters.
That is key.
Yeah.
Do you think that sometimes, like, you can become friends with somebody who hates you? Because I've definitely,
and it, like, I feel like that is true. And then sometimes you get so stuck in that, like, it's just like, damn, like, what's going on? Like, you blame yourself. But in reality, like, it could really just be what that person is experiencing, and a whole lot of projection.
Yeah.
So I have to be careful with that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think for me, back then, I had the same problem. I didn't always speak up or really share my thoughts, because in, like, my life, whether it be friendships or relationships, people had a way of telling me what I needed to believe. And instead of speaking up and saying, I don't necessarily agree with this, you're lying to me, I would just be like, okay. Like, it just kind of shut down, you know? And so with
like,
that,
you don't voice your like side of things and stuff like that. And sometimes it is because you're not protecting that person, but like, you really care about them so much that like you don't want to see it in that way. But sometimes it is what it is, right in your face. Like, you know.
Like, you want to believe that. You want to believe that that friend and that friendship is genuine and real. And sometimes, like, just like any relationship, you love and care for them, so you don't want to, like, end things on a bad note. So I didn't know when to, like, stop or when to, like, let go. But now that I'm older, like, it took so long. And then even at the end of, like, that certain friendship where I was like, dang, this person really did not like me. I was just there for their own benefits. They were able to gain whatever it was they wanted from me, whether it was help, whether it was whatever it was that maybe they got from me. And they didn't necessarily give back. And so sometimes I still do resent that person, because I'm just like, I wasted so much time being your friend and really genuinely thinking, like, you loved and cared for me as I did for you. And then it's just like, that person still feels like at the end of the day, they were right. And that friendship ended because of them, when truly it was because of me. So with everything that you've learned as far as those type of friendships, when do you learn, when do you know when to let go? Like, when should you let go of a friendship if it's no longer needed?
Yeah.
It doesn't fit your life at the time. When do you think is the time to do that? And how do you do it?
It's so hard. Yeah. It's really hard because it's like you always want to stay because you want to give the person the benefit of the doubt, and then you always think about history and all that stuff, or like you try to play it small, but really it's just you simply just have to accept too that like sometimes that time frame just has ended, and no matter how hard this is gonna be, like you just kind of respect that space and be like, okay, if this is something that needs to be done, then so be it. I think I have a really hard problem with letting go because of just the idea of like, well, what's gonna happen like if we let go and stuff, because you hold on to the memories and you hold on to just like what that person means to you, and you don't really ever see life without them. But it's more damage holding on. So I think you just let go when you just know it's time. And like, maybe that really didn't answer your question.
No, it did. Do you feel like, have you ever ended a friendship or a friendship ended and after that so many blessings happened in your life and you're like, what was this? Was I holding on to this friendship? Definitely. And it was taking up space?
Yeah.
And then like right after so many things happen and you're like,
it's literally just confirmation that, you know, maybe that was just something that needed to end, and the same could be happening for them. You know, like life can be good for them too, even though you're not in their life. And that's something that me and my therapist talked about, because she's like, it's really hard to, you know, see somebody that means a lot to you, you know, gain all of this success and like they're doing really well in your life, and it's like you're happy for them, but there's still a part of you that hurts because you're not a part of that. But you still have to just respect that, appreciate it, and then just also understand you were not meant to be in that. You were not meant to be a part of that, and your guys' season has ended. And just because that's happening for them doesn't mean it's not going to happen for you.
Exactly. That's that's so huge, because oftentimes I think when friendships do end, it's almost like you think that the other person is like wishing bad on you, but like genuinely,
not at all.
It's like, I'm happy for you. I'm happy you're happy. I'm happy you figured it out.
Like, even if we're not speaking, even if, like, you know, like, obviously things are not the same and stuff like that from a distance.
Look, I'm rooting for you.
Yes!
You see? Literally!
Yeah, like, it's like, I'm rooting for you. It really feels nice to see that, like, you're doing really well and all this other stuff, and it's just, like, you peep it and you move on, and
that part.
It is what it is, you know? It doesn't have to ever be ill, like, where it's just like, well, this person still did this to me, or I still did this to that person, and all this other stuff. It's just like...
Right. With friendships, there's definitely friendship breakups. And in your opinion, do you think friendship breakups are worse than, like, breakups with a boyfriend? Or do you feel like they're about the same? Or one is worse than the other?
I feel like... I definitely feel like they hurt so much more. Yeah. They really do. Just, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's so easy to just, like, be with another man, whatever, like... After
what is that?
You have, like, moved on.
Men come and go, but your friendships
like
are...
friendships are hard.
Yeah.
Like, it really hurts because, that's your person. Like, that's somebody that, like, you really grew through some really, really hard... You transitioned with that person in many phases of your life and stuff. And then to get to a point where, like, that person was, like, everything to where they slowly fizzle out to, like, almost nothing. But they're still present. Like, they're still there, they're here, they're alive, all that stuff, you know? It's just like, damn.
No, I agree. I think, friendship breakups hurt a lot more because, like, a dude can dog you out, even if you've been with them forever, whatever. But, again, that friendship, like how you say, when I'm around and I can sense you're not feeling good, whatever, you feel safe around me. And vice versa. It's the same, where it's like... like, my partner could leave me, but knowing that I have my friendship, like, I'm okay. I'm going to cry it out, but I know that you're going to be there. And then to imagine, like, losing that friendship, and then all I got is him. It's, like, it's not the
like,
same.
Your girls, like, you know, especially when you go through breakups and, like, go through really shitty times with, like, guys and stuff like that. It's just, like, when you have, like, very, like, solid friendships and stuff, like, you go to your girls and they see the they will help you through bad, it, ugly. You know, versus, like, a man, like, yeah, they'll listen, but the compassion is not there.
It might be a little bit, but not all the time. Like, they're not going to understand.
I hear you, but it's just because with men, or from what they make it seem, it's just like, whatever, like, you'll be all right.
Yeah, or like
with the girls, just like, they will really sit and like really
go
just
deep
be
in
there.
it. Like,
they'll go deep with you and, like, you know,
like, do you want to come? You want to come over for the weekend? Like, come. We can,
like, what can we do about
we
this?
Create safe spaces for each other, and to lose that is definitely hard because it's like, man, we created so many safe spaces, so many memories. Even if it was at home doing nothing. We were still creating memories and working on each other. And I think that the difference with, again, your boyfriend and your, girlfriends, you build each other in a different way than a man can build with you. And to have that relationship just be done, that's definitely hurts. But there is some friendship, to be honest, I don't regret not having anymore. And it's like
that was that season, and you live, you learn, and you move on.
Exactly. And I'm definitely okay with that. So the question I also did ask, going into your 30s, what do you look for in friendships? And what do healthy friendships look like in our next decade? Is that what we call it? What do we call it?
We'll be entering a new decade.
Yeah,
30s is going to be a new decade for us. Wow. Yeah. It's so crazy to think about that, because it's like, 20s? Girl.
Ghetto as hell. 20s were still are ghetto.
Very much.
I feel like towards the end now, like, I'm learning so much about myself.
So much.
And
it's
about
crazy
life.
Because it's like, my early 20s, I was such a different person compared to my late 20s.
Talk about it.
And I'm like, girl. Like, now it's just like, I'm more attentive to just growing and, like, learning more about me. Like, who's Paper? What is Paper like? Like, what does Paper want? You know, versus, like, in your early 20s, it's just like, you're in school or whatever it is that you're doing. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to fit in. You're trying to basically go based off society's, like, standards or the culture and all that stuff, and just a hot mess all over the freaking place, but having a good ass time.
Right? Okay, 20s, they were ghetto, but, like, there were good times, okay?
Yeah, there were some good times. Great times. It was definitely survival, but...
Well, we made it.
We did.
And now looking back, it's like, how did we make it this far? Okay? Because this stuff...
God.
We were... Thank you. Only him, because...
God, man, there's a lot of situations where I'm like, God, you really do be looking out. Because I was tripping.
I think we all were. But we're playing with fire.
And we didn't know better either. We didn't know better.
Looking back, I would never... Like, the ghetto shit I used to do, I would never do again.
No,
like,
just, like,
excuse me?
In disgust.
Who is that?
Girl.
I don't know that little
her.
Girl. Right.
I don't know
she?
Her. We embrace her, but...
Right. I would be sitting down, now that I'm getting almost to my 30s, I would sit down with my, like, 20-year-old self, 18-year-old self, and really give her so many pep talks. And be like,
think about that.
Sis, get your shit together. Figure out what you want. Stop listening to your parents as
much. I
much.
even think about that with my sisters, because they're you know, young ladies too. But it's just like, you also have to give them that chance to grow and make their own mistakes. So it's really hard.
I agree, but I definitely do tell my sister, and I say it in front of my parents, because you know, this will take a whole nother topic for another podcast. We're not going to go into how we were raised, but I will say it in front of my parents when there's decisions made when it comes to her career, because she's about to be out of high school. She graduates in 2 months. And so she'll be like, hey, you know, I have an internship and where she's going to school, all her choices, and I'm so proud of her. But when there's something that she's like, well, I'm going to see if I like it, and I tell her, I'm like, that's awesome. Try it out. If you don't like it, you can always change. Like, don't be scared to do something else.
That is so important.
And if you don't like it, then you try something else. Exactly. And I wish somebody gave me that comfort. Yes. And so I always, like, tell her, I'm like, you have a choice. I always remind her, like, there's choices. Just don't think what mom and dad say you should do is what you should do. I'm like, no, that's your choices. They don't know
what they're fucking doing.
I know. And so... yeah. So what would you say to your 20-year-old self? We still didn't get to the question about friendships in the 30s. We'll get there. What would you tell your younger self? Like, as far as just life, when life be life.
Take your time and really think through the things that really are important to you, not outside voices or influences that you see or that you're being told. Take your time, take it easy, and don't be so hard on yourself. Like, don't judge yourself. It's so easy to, at that time, to just, I hate myself. Like, why am I doing this? All this other stuff. And it's just like...
the beating up of the self.
What would growth be if you didn't make mistakes?
Exactly. I agree. I would tell myself, gosh, so many things. But one would be, like, fuck everybody. and respectfully, because
that's real though.
Like,
girl, that's real.
That would be because had I been the person I am today then, I feel like I would have gotten so much more done. But again, it's part of learning and the growing in the process. I would have done so much more for myself had I stopped listening to what people said. Because going back to friendships, I would have friends who can cook, and back then I didn't know how to cook, and I wasn't really a great cook, and I'm learning. But like, instead of friends teaching me how, or being like, it's so easy, like, I can show you, and that's the type of friend I am. I'm always like, let me show you, give me your phone, I'll teach you how to do it. Like, I want you to learn what I learned so you can go ahead and share that knowledge, and also not be in the dark. And so instead of having friends that would encourage and teach me, it was almost like they're laughing at me, you know, like, I can't believe you don't know how to cook. And they took pride in that. And I felt like maybe that was the one thing that they had that I didn't. And they really honed into that thing. And it would be brought up a lot. So I would be like, fuck everyone. And really, truly find friends.
Yeah, like how you were raised, your upbringing and stuff like that. Because, like, there are girls who, like, they resent that. Like,
and I did.
Knowing how to, like, not knowing how to cook, but, like, just cooking because it was literally, like, forced upon them.
Exactly.
Like, you have to do this, all this other stuff, versus, like, there were other girls, women, whatever, who...
I focused on my education. Really, like, my dad would always be like, for so long, he said, focus on my education, which I did. And then, like, once I got a hang of that, then it was like, you also need to learn how to cook. And I'm like, why the fuck do I need to learn how to do everything? Like, what are you setting me up for? Like, a marathon, the army, what? Like, really good. Battlefield, you know? We're really good. Like, you want me to be smart. Worked on that. I'm self-sufficient. Now you want me to learn how to cook. But... It's how they perceive. If you said you need to learn how to cook because it's a basic necessity that you need to learn, I get that. But it was that you need to learn to cook because one day you're gonna have a husband and children, and that would piss me off. And I'd be like, no, fuck that. And so I would not listen to my friends as much because I feel like they almost sabotaged me in a way where I was confident and I knew what I wanted to do, and then they kind of like
guess yourself
because
like,
of
well, actually,
like, maybe I can't do that. Like, maybe I'm really not that great at that. Let me just not try. I'm just never gonna be great at cooking. And now at 28, I'm like, I can give me a recipe. I can cook that shit to the T, and it's amazing. Yeah. Thank you. And I enjoy cooking for my loved ones, so it's like, I would tell myself, like...
I think when it's not, like, forced upon and, like, you want to do it, then, like, you really get an experience out of it, and, like, you're really cooking with love versus, like, you have to do it. Then it's just, like, here.
Yeah. So those would be the two that I can think of right now.
Right.
Because
those are really
there's so many more, but I feel like that could be definitely a different episode where we really hone in our younger selves and breaking all that down and kind of giving advice for those who are now going through it, because it is what it is.
Because we all go through, like, phases in our life. We're all gonna be this age at some point, you know? So it's just, like, taking what you've learned from it and passing it on to, like, the younger women is so important.
Right.
And so just going off, like, what you said earlier about the question about friendships in my 30s, like, or as I'm entering my 30s, I just think community is really important. Like, it's not so much about the quantity, like how much friends that I would want in the future. It's just the quality. Yeah. Like the type of people they are, like reflecting a lot in who I am as I'm growing, because like I'm a completely different person compared to like who I was like in the past, like when I was younger and stuff. So I value different things, but honesty is really important, and just always like friends who help you out in learning and growing and look out for you and protect you. Like those are really important things, because the friends that I feel that I have now and friends that I'll make in the future are friends who are going to be like in my life, like in my children's life, like people who I know I feel safe, I feel secure, like I know if anything ever happens, like you guys will look out for my kids or look out after my family, or like you're a call away, you know, like that's not an issue at all. And just like the comfort and trusting that this person really cares about me, like, you know, no matter what, they just see me for who I am and respect that. And so
those are good things. I agree. I definitely,
so I always think about that.
Me too,
because it's like I'm cheesy too, so it's just like, you know, like when we all have kids and stuff like that, or even before kids, like traveling with
our
your
weddings,
yeah,
like who's gonna be in your wedding,
that are gonna be in your wedding.
Mine has changed, like, so
huge moments in your life, you know. And it's not about just the big things, like the good things. I need you there if I'm going through probably one of the hardest times of my life. Like, what if there's a passing in my family and stuff like that, you know, or something very drastic happens. Like, that friend who will just be there, just be present. You don't have to give me anything. You don't have to do anything for me. Just be present. Yeah. Like, that's huge.
I agree.
And so it's like, it's not just being there for the good, but like being there for the hard times, because I need a friend who will be there in all seasons.
That's more than real and so real. I agree. Same. I think about that too now, because I'm like, I'm getting to the chapter in my life where I'm ready to have a family and get married and have kids. And I still want, like,
cheers,
you know,
to that.
Cheers. Clink. And I think about the friendships around me, because they will be around my children, and I really want it to be a safe space. Like, I want to know that, like, they're okay with my kids are okay with them, and not having to worry about somebody, like, abusing my kid or, like, hitting my children, and maybe that's not something, I'm like, don't hit my kids. So that is huge. I'm 100% with the honesty, like, I definitely feel like,
because it's not easy.
No, it's so hard. And friendships, like
it's so easy to just agree with your friend, but it's like your friend's not always gonna be
right. And we can't just sit and enable that person and be like, yeah, girl, you know, like, let me just egg you on, even though that you're wrong. Like, I'm sabotaging you, and I'm also not being a good friend. And I learned to be a good friend from having relationships with people where the friendship wasn't good. And so I learned from that, and I'm like, I don't want to repeat those mistakes. I don't want disingenuous friendships. And if I am completely honest with you and have a good friendship with you, hopefully that you will do the same. That's not saying that others will, because I've definitely been the same with other friends, and it's more like a one-way. They can call me at any time when they need me, and I'm there. But, like, if I need somebody, they wouldn't be the first person I called. They wouldn't even be, like, the first 5 people I called. And that says a lot to me, because obviously you believe that I'm a good enough friend that you can call me whenever things are going good, bad, ugly, whatever. But I don't feel the same reciprocated, so that tells me, like, okay, that's definitely something. It has to be 2 ways. Like, friendships have to be both ways in the future. And then again, community, like you said, I want that. And then friends who give grace, because I feel like in all parts of life, like, that's something we're so huge on. We give grace to each other with conversations, hard topics, uncomfortable things. And it's not why would you do that? It's more like, okay, we listen and we're there. We're not just going to condemn you right away. You should know better. You shouldn't have done this. No, but people make mistakes, and we have to allow our friends to feel safe with us to admit their mistakes, because if they don't, that's
because if
big
you create
problem.
that safe space, then it's easier to be able to have conversations or be there or just be a friend, and I think grace is not something that a lot of people have, because it's like
a lot of people won't give to others.
A lot of high expectations, and it's just like people are human at the end of the day.
Do you feel like you have high expectations now for friendships, or is the bar really low? I have no expectations. I wouldn't say
the bar is low, but like any expectation that I put out there is definitely something that I hope that I'm giving as well.
I agree. I don't think I have expectations anymore.
No.
Because I think in friendships, like, again, being in different parts of our lives where one person is really seeking something else and I may be doing something else, I can't have the same expectations, because if I gave the same expectations for me that I have for you, it wouldn't be fair, because we're not in the same place in life. Like what you value and what you are working through is so different than what I value right now and what I'm working through. Like school might be my main focus, going back to school.
And then you could have so much freedom and free time and all that stuff. So it's just like, you can't have the expectation that like I will be there. Like, for instance, like, I want to go here. Like, you have school. Like, you're literally busy.
Exactly.
This is your focus right now. And it's like just respecting that, Sometimes people get upset because you can't do something with them or something. And it's just like, did you ever actually think about like what they might be going through right now?
Consider it.
Yeah, and it's not anything towards you. It's not like a personal attack where it's just like, oh, they don't care about you. Like, fuck you. Like, it's just like, maybe just have a conversation with them, talk to them,
see what they're going,
and see what they're going. See what
they have going on.
Really go through a lot of stuff, and then whole time, the other side is thinking like, what the fuck is wrong with them?
Right.
Like,
one of my friends,
and it's like, relax.
Literally, one of my friends, she's like my sister. When she calls me, anytime she wants to talk, she always asks these things: do you have time to talk, and do you have the mental capacity? And I'm like, to handle it. And I'm like,
I always say, if you have the capacity, it's very important.
And it's like, and not everybody asks you that. No. And some friends will call and just dump.
That's a huge thing.
And so it's like, wow, you're asking my permission. And it's so, like, I love that. And I'm like, dang, we are really progressing these days, because it allows me to say yes or no. And if I don't, then, like, you can't, she won't take it personal. And just to have that is so beautiful, because it's like, yes, I do. And I can take on whatever it is you may be going through. And I feel like if more people ask that question before just picking up the phone and rambling, friendships would be a lot more healthy, and there would be a balance.
Or simply just asking, how are you? Because sometimes some people will hit you up and just go right into it. And you're like, ooh.
30 minutes
like,
later.
You want to be a good friend and like you want to listen and stuff, and like there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes people forget to simply just, oh, hey,
check on you.
By the way, how are you?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I definitely
What's
like
been up?
when I go through that stuff, or if I'm like really ready in the verge of tears or something, and I need to talk, I will be like, hey, I'm just checking on how you're doing, but I really need to talk. So I like give you the, like, I really need to talk, and then like you can say like, okay, like what's going on or not, and I'll tell you what's going on. But at the end of it, I'm not just going to be like, thanks for the call, I needed it, bye. I'm going to say, well, how are you? What's going on with you? Enough about me. Thank you for just letting me vent. How are you? Like, what's going on with you? Because I don't know what you could have gone through like 30 minutes before that phone call. You could have been going through so much. Or just what you've been
experiencing in general.
Yeah, or in your life, because I'm not, one thing about me, I'm not an everyday friend. And you're not an everyday friend. And I feel like that's why we work so well, because sometimes it's so hard for me to keep up. Because I'm like, every day, that's a lot of energy.
Girl,
life
be life.
You gotta work. You gotta cook for yourself. You gotta take care of your household, into family, siblings, parents. It's so hard to be an everyday friend.
And you're not always available,
Yeah, and you get burnt out. So sometimes I have to choose
and taking
where
that
I'm
time
gonna...
too, because I think one thing for me is like, I will take breaks, whether it's social media or just like take a
or
break.
friendships. I take friendship
whatever it
breaks.
is, where I just need my solitude right now. This is what I'm focusing on, and like I will just not respond. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you're not entitled to respond to everyone and everything. But some people don't, they take it personal, because it's like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? All this other
like,
stuff.
are you mad at me? It's like, no, I'm just
it's like, I'm not mad at you, but like,
I just need me right now. I just need me right now. And I think in friendships, people need to understand that. Don't get offended. Yeah, don't get offended when somebody needs time. And then it's like,
oh, okay, you know. But that just shows, like, that's not something they practice within them own selves. Like, not a lot of people practice solitude and just, like, being with their own thoughts and processing whatever it is that they may be experiencing. Because sometimes, like, I want to process whatever it is that I'm going through with myself first. And then it's like, if I need advice or help, right? Be like, hey, like, you know, there's this thing, and, you know, can you help me with this? Or just what's your thought on it? Because sometimes you really just are in your head, right? And it seems a lot deeper than it is, because it's just you and your mind, exactly. You know. So so space is really important. Like, giving yourself space is really important, and taking that time for yourself. Like, don't feel bad about that at all. Don't ever feel bad about that, because
it's sometimes hard, though.
It's always going to be you versus you. So make sure you are good.
It's not even you versus you. It's more like,
I guess that's
your friend
not really
versus,
a good way of saying it.
Because it's like you, like, for me, I know I'm not an everyday friend, and I don't ever fault myself for that, right, because I've seen it as time goes on. But like, I still have my core friends. I may not have many friends or like show new friendships or whatever, but I still have my core friends. But like, again, we don't talk every day. We don't do stuff every day. Like, I'm okay with that. But then there's certain friendships that I may have, and then they want to talk like 3-4 times a week, and it's like, I don't have the capacity to do that, because you, like you say, I'm a Virgo, so I have things in order. Like, I come home from work, I have a schedule. I'm eating at this time. Yeah,
that's just how you operate.
But people don't understand that. And then when someone like automatically throws a plan in there, I'm like, I didn't plan for this. Like, you should have told me a few days ago or like a week ago, because now I planned on eating, watching a movie, showering, going to bed, and now you're coming over, or you want to go somewhere, or you want to plan a trip in the middle of whatever day, and I'm like, and I'm not going to, sometimes I don't say no, because I'm like, my friend may need me, and maybe that was their way of reaching out, and I'll do it, but like, sometimes, like, just plan better. Like, if you need me, and say, like, I need you.
If you just don't have that in you, like, it is okay. It might hurt a little bit to, you know, say no to that person, but you're essentially saying no to yourself. Yeah. And that's not good, you know? Right. And I guess, like, going back to, like, what I was saying, like, I didn't mean you versus you. Like, I think what I meant was, you are definitely the most important relationship out of all relationships in your life. And so taking care of yourself is very important. And looking out for yourself and making sure your mental health is, like, good and stuff. And I think that's what a lot of, like, the end of my 20s have been, like, taking charge and putting myself in the forefront of making sure I'm good before anything else. Right. And it's hard, because it's like, when you're so used to just helping out and doing things for others and stuff, whether it be your family, your friends, whatever it may be, your career, all that stuff, you don't, like, what about you?
Yeah, you're on the back burner.
Then you get burnt out, and it could get physical. Like,
you get burnt out.
It could,
You are like, how did I get here? Right. I hate myself, because you're not taking time to
You're not taking care of yourself. Yeah. Like, you have to, like, a lot of, especially, like, this past, like, year and a half, like, therapy was one of the best things I could do for myself, but also just, like, nurturing myself, and, like, like, it's a beautiful thing, because I will cry sometimes, because I'm like, oh my god,
you've changed so much, and it's not even to, like, get into specific details, but as a person, oh my goodness, you have changed for the best. You take so much time for yourself now. You put yourself first. You go on your solo dates, and you genuinely, like, you care about becoming a better person for yourself, and then also for the people around you after. Yeah. But I love it. Like, that just so motivates me. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I love the growth. And for me, a huge thing with friendships, it's hard. I need friends that are growing, you know? Yeah. Even when you're in your own personal growth, to see that. Yeah. But you've done the work.
The small steps matter. Because at first it was like, you think like growth is like this thing where it's like it has to be like something huge. It's like, no, those baby steps, they matter.
Yeah, they matter. You're definitely more open. You are more confident. You used to, like, when you would speak about things, it's almost like you not resorted. You didn't believe. I don't know. You made yourself small instead of being confident in situations. Yeah. And now you are able to speak. Like you said, you speak up. You care about yourself a lot more. Not saying you didn't care about yourself then, but like you're more careful with yourself. And I love that. So I'm very proud of you. I appreciate that. I'm excited for your growth. Don't make me cry. No, it's real. And that's where the friendship continues. Because
it's important. I think for me, like, I just really, like, genuinely made a promise to myself to, it's not just, like, putting yourself first, but choosing yourself. Yeah. Choosing yourself is very important. Time and time. Always choose yourself.
We talk about that a lot. Yeah, choosing yourself. So I'm very, very proud of you. I'm thankful for our soul sistership. And I feel like we're only going to grow from here. It makes me so happy. Like, I remember, and this is one of the things that really stick with me back when I lived in Lincoln, in my apartment, that ghetto-ass apartment. Girl. And you would come and visit me. Yeah. And no one ever made the effort to come visit me. Not even my parents. They came the day I moved out, and they helped me move. They never saw my place, what it looked like, or anything, but you would always make the effort to come over, stay the weekend with me. Quality time is my love language. It's mine too. It's so mine. And
quality time is my love language because it's just like, I care about you, and it's like, if I want to see you, I'm going to see you.
And you would drive, and I love that. And that stuck out to me so much because living in Lincoln, it's it's the weirdest fucking place in the world. We wouldn't do
anything. No. But it's just,
we would cook, eat, watch, eat, love, and pray, and talk about and just talk about life and just be. And I love that. We just have our blankets, and it made the best friendship memories ever. And I cherish those till this day. Like, I'll always tell like my partner about it and be like, she means so much to me. Like, she used to come over, and even if, like you said, we didn't do anything, it meant the world to me. And I'm like, that's gonna be a forever friend because you can sit with me at any. You've been, again, through different parts of life with me, different sections of life, and to just be here today, you know, versus all the ghetto and stuff back then. Like, we made it through. We didn't, and we made it through without any toxicity or any weirdness, and I love that. I always say, like, I treat my friendships like my relationships. I don't expect us to get in those places, and I feel like if we ever do argue, which I don't ever think it would happen, but because we know how to talk to each other from a place of love and not let our emotions get in the way and be like, well, you did it was you should have known better. We know how to, we have those boundaries where we can speak to each other like adults. It makes the difference, and not everyone can have that friendship. And so I love it. That is so beautiful. I'm thankful for you, and I can't wait to see what more.
I just can't wait for just, like, growth as we, like, grow into women and stuff. Because I feel like we talk about it so much, and it's, like, we're really manifesting it and, like, preparing for the type of women that we want to be. Like, obviously, life will take its course and things happen and all that stuff. But I just feel like we have a very good understanding of, like, who we want to be in this world. And as long as we're doing what we need to do,
we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be okay. And we're gonna have each other to help each other get through it. So God bless. I think we can stop it here. Yeah. And I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation. This is just a little bit of what our friendship looks like and the time we spend, and we just talk and reflect in life. And this podcast is called strange and beautiful life conversations, because I feel like it just fits.
I love that.
And honestly, the name came from a time that was really strange and yet beautiful in life. Like I was going through, I was becoming present in my real life, because for so long I was checked out, and I was like, wow, how crazy that life can be strange and beautiful at the same time. Like the things I prayed for back then and manifested, like I have now, and I'm like, it's so strange to be like, wow, back then all I wanted was this, and now that I have it and it's beautiful, but yet it's just, life is strange. So
life
my
is strange,
podcast,
but it's also beautiful.
Dedicated it to that.
If you look and search for the beauty, you will find it. Exactly. And you will see it.
Yes, exactly. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys want her to come back. Well, it doesn't really matter. She's still going to be back. But if you have any questions or topics that you want us to talk about more, we'll definitely add it into the next time she visits the podcast. And yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.